It looks great, Ted. Well,
If I go near the haircut, I should eat in front of
you can
the world.
You're allowed to eat in front of the world. That's what we do. I'd like to pause for a moment's silence as we remember our great former leader, Gough Whitlam, who, those of you who are so very young may not understand or the impact that individual might have had on Australian history. But anyway, there he is. It's a sad day for many of us, I'm sure.
A great social reformer, especially in education.
A great social reformer, yes. Free universities,
yes.
Overnight, bang.
Funded state government education too, like directly out of the coffers of the. Yeah,
not equal pay.
Yeah.
To qualify that, but if you look at the economics of it itself,
it was.
It was charging people who couldn't get to university, in terms of the poor people, a higher premium for people who already got it.
How did it do that?
Oh, through taxation and social policy.
Good idea, though.
Yeah, but we had regressive. We had positive, progressive tax.
Yeah.
So only the. Okay. Right.
So no worries, Rebecca. Thanks for that. So anyway, there we have a free universal health cover.
Still.
No.
Yes.
$7 to go to the doctor, isn't it?
No, not yet. Hasn't passed. You don't. There's no co-payment.
Yeah. No, not yet. No.
We're still good.
We've still got.
You've got to go to the doctor lots between now and then.
There you go. Right. So anyway, without being too flippant or too politicised, it is it's a momentous day in that regard.
A very sad, but yes, great to remember a great man.
Sorry?
98.
98's not bad, yeah?
Absolutely.
98 ain't bad. So, all right, what we're going to do today is we have 6 people presenting, at least. And we have, Sarah's got some stuff to go.
Yeah, there's some on there, and then I've got some more as well. Obviously, I'm sure of time. So
I like the stuff that was on there. That
get
was
people thinking
just,
a little bit.
there's a great dirty big blowfly flying around in here. It must be summer. So where shall we start? Why don't we do a few presentations and then go into some discussions. Then we need to also talk about next week and whether there is a next week or whether there isn't a next. Well, there will be next week, one hopes, but whether or not we actually meet next week, we shall see. So now let me look at we've gone blue. Oops. Oh, I've turned off my Wi-Fi. Hold on.
Just, the other one. That one.
Project presentations. Thank you. Everybody would have received their results from the project today. Yeah. People are saying yes, good. Everyone's got their results. That's great. I note there are 4 reviews already up, which is fantastic. How are we finding doing the reviews? Anyone had a go yet? Hard work, isn't it?
Easier than the project.
Easier than the project. Okay, yeah. It's a nice. I think it's a really nice assessment task. So, you didn't, Kath. Check your email. Yeah, check your email. It's got to be there. I'll make sure. I'll check my email and make sure I sent it. Rebecca's finding it hard. Oh yeah, it must have got held up in the email ether. However, so now on my list, if we just go by who put their names up first, I'm going to start with Iman. Okay, and then we've got David and Margaret and Trish and Joe and Grant. Beauty. We're going to keep this tight. Otherwise we'll all, not that we'll fall asleep because it's...
It's all very exciting.
But it's just got to
Keep it tight.
Keep it tight.
I love it.
Keep
tight,
it tight.
tight is
Keep
good.
it tight. And then we've got some discussions to have. We've got Sarah's stuff to do, and Ted and I got a few ideas to talk about too. So, are you ready, Iman? You've got it. Well, let's bring it over here. And, Ted'll have to press some buttons for you. What do you want?
All we have to do is find it. So we go in here.
I'll give you that. I'll turn this off.
Do you have this? This is that one. And if I go to there, so here you want it. Can I just do one more thing though? Because yeah, I just want to go into. Hang on.
Let's hope the sharing works. It didn't work last week, did it?
Well, I know it doesn't come up.
It works for people there at home, but not.
Oh, okay.
Well, when the others, yeah, because like when say Sam
It
was
says
showing
sharing.
theirs or
If we go,
Kath and Anne were showing theirs, they were sharing quite well.
Right.
But
Okay.
now the thing that we can't see if we're going to look at this is just I just want to check. I'm sorry, I'm going to go back. Unfortunately, is okay. If I can't even see it now, screen share. And share. Okay, so that's actually.
Yes.
It's happening.
It is happening? So that's Google Hangout. So they're getting it. So, but if we go to the actual thing, and then, so if that sharing's still going, but then say we want to watch the whole screen. If you guys have any trouble seeing this, can you actually go onto the Ning and say you're having trouble, people online? So you might just text through on the Ning.
Did you invite Sam? Yes, you did. He's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, all set. Let's go. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So I made a website. I designed a website. I made a prototype of a website for collaboration between teachers in the Maldives, where I'm from. I teach year 11 and 12 English, and as you know, I'll just show you. This is where I'm from, Maldives. As you can see, the islands are really scattered. We have around 1,190 islands, on which I think 200 of these islands are inhabited. So we have schools on all these islands, and it's very difficult to communicate. Go from one island to the other as such. So this is, you can see how far they are. You have to travel from one island to the other by boat or by other means. This is the island where I work. This is the capital city, Male. I don't live there. I take a 20-minute ferry ride to go there every day for work. It's a concrete jungle in the middle of the ocean. This is very different from the other islands of the Maldives, but this is the most developed area in the country. We travel from island to island by seaplane or domestic flights, or you can go by ferries or speed launches. The reason why I created this website was because I work in the capital city, like I said, and my school is the oldest school that has been teaching year 11 and 12. So it's been running since 1979, but up until 2002, there were no other schools in the country that taught advanced level studies. So from 2002, around 33 new schools have been created, and we needed to really share our expertise and what we had, the material that we had with these schools around the nation. So as you can see, teachers had to travel to islands very far. Some took like 4 hours by boat, hours by seaplane or domestic flights. So it's a really hard thing to do, and even now teachers sacrifice their weekends to go to the islands and train teachers and share material and give guidance to students as well. So I thought it would be a good idea to create a social network instead of platform to enable teachers to come together and share their work, lesson plans, and ask questions and do all that. So this is a prototype of the website I've created. It's made using PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, and I've used a free wireframe to design it. So it looks pretty much like Facebook, as you can see. And I thought that the ministry could give schools email addresses, with domains for particular schools that teachers could use to log into these websites, and schools could confirm that the teacher does work there and teach year 11 and 12 to get on the website. I've restricted this to year 11 and 12 because the other grades obviously have been in the islands longer, and it would be easier to start with fewer grades and move to the entire country after that. So you can see the navigation bar. There's home, where you can see the most recent or the most popular blog posts or discussion forums that are in the website. These are viewable to all teachers who log on. When you log on to the when you sign up to the website, you're supposed to be friends with all the teachers around the nation who teach the same subject as you, so that you can see what they are posting and comment on it. The profile gives some information about yourself, some metrics around your login details, how basically details of how you've used the website. So, and it also gives shows the inbox where you get messages from other teachers. Yeah, colleagues where you see your friends, blogs where you can contribute to the website. You can make your blog posts viewable to only the teachers who are teaching the same subject as you, or to the whole community. So it depends on what you are posting there. Discussion forum for discussing different things. You can ask questions to the whole community or your teacher community. This is the main thing that I wanted to include here, lesson plans. The culture of the Maldives is such that people are reluctant to share what they do. And because there's such high competition among schools, they're hesitant to share and contribute to the development of the other schools. So I wanted to bring a change to that through this. So the lesson planner gives the opportunity for people to upload a lesson plan, and you can comment on lesson plans uploaded. You can give text comments, images, videos, links, and in-text referrals. I'll give more details about in-text referrals, but if you go and click on any of these parts on the navigation bar, the comments, text comments will appear. You can refine them through this navigation bar. So if you press photos, only the comments with photos will appear here. With in-text referrals, I thought that you could comment on particular parts of the lesson plan. So you give, you ask for more clarification, or you know how it works, right? And the comments will be color-coded, so you know which one corresponds to which. So that's basically it. I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done here, but this is a start. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
So we need to add Emily and Sam. But don't go away yet.
Yeah, we might ask a quick question.
Emily and Sam. Okay. Questions or comments?
So could I just say, you know how you say it's highly competitive? In that, is it job threatening if someone takes on one of your ideas or something like that? Or
No,
is it just...
because schools are more result oriented, and there's high competition between schools to get the best results. Yeah.
So is there a lot of communication within schools?
Yeah, but not between schools. That's limited.
The thing that amazed me is the cost of actually running in terms of financial cost of actually connecting people. I mean, how much do you reckon a flying boat or an aircraft trip would cost from one end of? It's not probably cheap, is it?
Probably $300 up and down.
Yeah. So every time you want to have a meeting, it's $300
Yeah.
each.
Yes.
Yeah.
How long does it, do you need time, like, for people to travel from, say, what might be considered one end
To the
the
other,
other? That,
probably 2 hours. Yeah.
But then that'd be quite a refreshing idea what you're coming up with.
I hope so, yeah. Yeah. But it's not going to be easy convincing people to implement this. And there will need to be a lot of training done among the teachers as well.
Do you think that sharing thing, I mean, I think that happens here too, that it's difficult to get people to use a social networking approach to doing things until they feel that the issue. I think that people need to be familiar with the environment and feel that nothing can really go wrong if they share ideas. And notice you were going to put lesson plans in. I think that's actually probably a good start because that's very solid. That's a really good way to start.
You mean they may not be familiar with how the website works?
Yes.
Yeah, that could happen with most of the older teachers, but I think a lot of them are familiar with social networking platforms. Yeah.
Fantastic.
is the internet or that sort of connection in a sense easily, like, is that something that's available?
Getting
and
better, yeah.
Getting better?
Yeah.
It's a whole other world, isn't it? Yeah.
Perfect for this kind of environment.
Absolutely.
Though. The connection this way would obviously be very attractive for many reasons.
Yeah.
But financial is obviously one, and clearly just being able to get in touch with other people very easily would be lovely. I think it's it's got a lot of potential in this environment. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Iman.
Oh yeah, just pop it. Good. Good.
And we'll get, I think, David. Thanks for that. Just waiting. Any new arrivals?
Did Sam get in?
Sam got in, and Emily got in.
Yeah.
I think that's Sam.
Oh, yes, Sam. Looks like it's in 2001.
2001.
Gone back in time.
We had someone from, where was it? From Nigeria last week.
Oh yeah, watching. They just, we're probably seeing whether our bank accounts were going to be released on the screen.
Yeah, well, what are we going to share?
Yeah, what do you need, mate?
Is it possible to take the interviews from home? Or is it all photos to be downloaded?
Ted?
Yeah. Is there any
Technical stuff.
Oh, don't worry.
What do you want to do?
You want to
Do it from the phone?
No,
No,
Wi-Fi. Because I tried to pull my video off.
Oh, okay.
Was it
I was put stupid.
yeah, put in that. Yep.
There we go.
Come up here.
Ready to use. There we go. David.
You do it. Yeah.
Do you use Google Classroom? No. I mean,
Do you have it?
Come here. Is that what you want?
Yeah. But I don't want to pull up at the moment.
Oh, you
At the
don't?
moment, yeah.
Okay, right.
Okay.
My apologies, my brain's gone to mush. It's been one of those days. I'm sort of just going to go with the flow. I don't have any elaborate web tech stuff that you guys have obviously created over the last 4 weeks. I've taken on board a lot of what you've said, but where I'm coming from is that my audience is the deaf community, and for that reason, in Australia, there's actually 1 million hearing impaired people, 1 million. Out of that, there are about 15,000 students every year who are hearing who learn Auslan, but there are actually only 6,000 signing deaf in the population in Australia, only 6,000. So it's actually going to decline more because with technology now coming on board with like rubella and cochlear implant genetic screening, the deaf population is going to decrease. So in our school, we only have 70 deaf children. We're in such a small bubble. We have to actually get out there and meet other signing people. And I had this dream where I like to connect globally and sort of start meeting deaf people worldwide. And since being on this course, I've sort of come up with Polygon, which is we actually have in our school. We've had to dust it off because it hasn't been used very well. Lots of schools in Australia have this. There's about 1,000 Polygon units in Australia, and they're not being used effectively. However, saying that, there's been some very good case studies where when it is used properly, the world is at your fingertips. And to start off with, we created a number of projects. So I connected with a hearing school for the very first time this year. This is a school that's taken up on LOTE. So there are 500 hearing children, and out of that, there are 27 languages. They decided Auslan would be an Irish neutral language. So we try to make the connection, and the way they're doing it was, because they haven't got time to come visit us, Polygon would be the way to connect with the school. So we did it last week. We spent 2 terms getting through them, building up their confidence. We weren't sure how it was going to work on the day, because this is a school that's saying Polygon had been sort of dusted off, put in the framework, and then, can I?
Sorry, just here.
So the key is, with any instructions, you kind of have to make sure that you have a lesson in place. So they've actually created their own lesson, they've practiced it, and then when our kids engage, it was like a virtual classroom. So we're going to continue this over the next couple of weeks. We're going to build on this. And the ultimate aim is that these kids will start emailing each other, and they will visit our school, they'll sign to our kids, and our kids will visit their school. So we're keeping the Auslan language, a living language, alive. So that did happen. That was an actual project that happened. Also, last week on Friday, I Skyped a deaf girl in New Zealand. And the reason for that is we're actually organising in 3 weeks' time a Skype-a-thon, which we're contacting 2 deaf schools in England and an old dear friend in America who's a deaf university, Gallagher University, who's deaf herself. So we've organised 7, 8, 9, so our kids will be Skyping. So this was a bit of a practice. As it turned out, when we were talking to this particular girl, they actually have a Polygon unit in their classroom, which isn't being used either. They sort of dusted off. So it's a matter of getting out there, because with the signing resolution on the Polygon screen, it is so clear.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of trouble. I won't share it. I think
I'd like to show you some examples. Yeah. So it was very important that we had to have name, age, sport, colour, and then we're going to build up on basic family questions, focused family places. So this is actually a win because it saves time for our school, and we're keeping the language alive. There is a purpose to it. There's a lovely dear school up at Victoria. There's only 27 kids there. They're using Polygon now, the rural school, they're using Polygon to connect with schools in Australia. One case was called the Narrowler case. They had an author come on about first contact. So they had 10 schools on one Polygon activity through SmartShare, through Global 2. They organised different events. And this school is now kicking with other schools, and now got a sister school in Japan. I thought, schools only got 27 kids. They're doing really well. They're getting out there, they're exposing themselves. This is an example of a split screen where this school was the very first time. You see the chap with the yellow was the principal. He's never been exposed to a Polycon unit. So there was this element of doubt, is it going to work? There obviously does require a bit of planning. And now, as a result, the school is now taken on board where we're now doing Twilight series, where now we have a split screen, so you have a PowerPoint that's being fed in. You then have on the right, you have an interpreter with a keynote speaker. So that means now that our deaf staff can access this. The other part was, so that's another example, so we've got people viewing it.
We might just see if we can.
So I
Do you want to see
expect,
if we can share it?
Yeah, we'll just try and share it again.
sorry?
We'll try and share it again.
Share, oh, okay.
So,
We'll just pretend it's working.
well, hopefully it is.
Yeah, because they could say that.
So it's important that we have video conference collaboration, and we want to connect with a video relay interpreting. So next week is what we call the day the crowds quit. We're going to have a Skype coming in through a smart board, and the Polycon will be coming from a chap from New South Wales who's an author, and 10 schools have been booked to that. Unfortunately, we tried to put the interpreting in with the two screens, which is too slow. So we're going to have to use a different meeting, which is Skype on the outside. So that's the first time we've ever done that. So everyone's trying now really hard to incorporate the signing aspect into the Polycon. I guess that's really about it. So next year we want to further this. So when we contact these two deaf schools, we'll be emailing backwards and forwards. We also want to come up with the concept of a blog. We'll come up with a school blog. So unfortunately, our kids' literacy skills for reading and writing isn't that great. They're more confident with their first language being Auslan, but through ETA, which is English through Auslan, we want to build upon that, and through the emailing, which we're doing now, the kids are actually enjoying the concept. They started emailing school in New Zealand for the first time, and to get the response back is a really powerful, motivating tool. So we're going to continue with this. It's different to how everyone else has been doing it, I presume. And it is. Any questions?
Questions?
Is it like video conferencing when you say they've got a Polygon? What do you mean? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say they've got a Polygon? Is it that they can teleconference? Or
Okay. Polycon is the actual trade name for a company.
Right.
The Polycon is a global company. In fact, they have a global directory phone service, you like, so you can contact different Polycon units around the world. So the Victorian government has invested in 1,000 Polycon units spread out to Victoria alone. And so they think it's really important in terms of this video conferencing. With Global 2 base, you can see the camera. So the resolution is so sharp, it's just the high-speed input for the internet fed through it means the resolution is very, very clear. Normally, when you sign through Skype, it's just a little bit slow or jerky, but this is just super sharp, and it means now that we can connect with other deaf schools. So at the moment, we don't have a directory service for deaf schools, so which is what I want to create for next year too, so that every deaf school should have a directory and link it with every deaf unit. And the idea is you can actually have maybe a lunchtime concept where kids can come on lunchtime and Skype to a friend. On the weekends now, we're going to trial it in 3 weeks' time where kids start Skyping each other over the weekend. But we have to be very careful with this cyber safety. You know, we don't want to be open for abuse, so there has to be taught. Parents have to make sure the unit is within their lounge rather than the bedroom. But we certainly want to open that domain because kids are not literacy skilled or confident, but with Auslan they are. We want to keep the communication open. And being such a small deaf population Australia, we want to spread out our rings and contact a wide range of deaf people around the world and build on that. With the England one, the time zone is different because we've got overnight camp. We've built on that so the kids will go out for the day, Fairyland Park, to come back, barbecue 6, our first Skype's at 7, 8, 9, and the schools over there have got their questions. BSL, British Sign Language, is similar to Australian Sign Language. American Sign Language is unfortunately completely different. It's one hand, but this particular person knows Australian Sign Language. and so she can sort of bridge their gap. The kids are absolutely excited. When we did the protocol the first time, they were very unsure of themselves. I told them to get up, do a bit of a dance, but now they've got the idea. They have to make sure that their signing is clear, the other person understand. The repertoire between questioning and answers, like telephone manners, how you responded to the conversation, we're certainly building on that now. There's a huge scope, which means anyone can really basically do it. Anyone can do it. Okay, I think I'll see questions. Thank you.
Have you thought about extending it to non-deaf schools where the children are learning sign language as their loads? Because that would be a great opportunity for those kids to really have that authentic experience.
To the school I just talked about now, Shepparton, Sunshine Harbour School was the main project. So they've got 500 kids. This is what we did last week. So they're hearing kids, 500 of them, all learning Aussie for the first time. And so for them connecting to us, we have a real language that gives the kids the confidence and experience with the experts to teach the other school. So that means we now can identify with hearing friendships as well. As I said before, our bubble's too small. But they're funny enough, there's another deaf school in eastern Melbourne who are doing it 2 years ago, which we weren't aware of. They only have one deaf child, and they had the idea of then contacting another school who was signing, and they sort of grew from there. That deaf child's long since gone, but they still want to keep with the signing. So it's a really powerful tool. So it will definitely work, definitely. But one last thing, I want to set up a virtual classroom with a deaf school. So, because there's only 7 kids in my class, they've only got 7, you immediately double, you then have 14. You could also have 4 at any time. So you could potentially have 4 classes, 4 7 20, 28. So you can have 28 deaf kids interacting and having a conversation, much smaller than only having 7 kids. So that's the idea of just making it more wider.
Thanks, mate. Thank you. Now, Margaret, do you want to go? Then we'll whoop. We stop sharing. So Margaret's going to go. That'll give you 3. Then we'll spend some time talking a little bit about knowledge management. Yes?
Yes, I want Margaret to plug this in,
Then,
and we may not be able to screen share this, I'm not sure about that.
right.
So Margaret's going to run her computer from here. She hasn't got a USB, she's just got a hotkey.
Right. Okay.
So guys, you're just going to have to, put up with.
Bear with it. We'll turn the
watching.
computer around.
Well, we could do that, maybe. Yeah. You could hold the computer up.
Yeah. Turn the computer backwards.
Why won't they see?
They won't see. They
can see.
They can ask you
So you
questions.
can turn it around, fine.
Yeah.
So we're taking this to the side here?
To that side, I think your side.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Do you have a PowerPoint close by in case this dies?
Yes. I think so. Who knows? You never know. That's David. You never know. Here we go.
You've gone up onto the screens around the room.
Yep.
But you're not going to go up there. But people can.
Do you want to turn it around and I can...
Well, it's stopped
I don't
again.
mind.
Oh, it's stopped again. Did it unplug? No. Just go function for. It's asking me to choose one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's that mean? I don't know. CRT?
Yeah.
It's just doing CRT. You will have no, but
Won't be long, folks.
CRT and the LCD. Hopefully you'll stay on as well. Yes.
There it is. There we are. Right.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Right. This won't take very long because I am socially social networking ignorant. No matter how hard I try this, these things are not going to be part of my life until I went to the school and they wanted us to communicate through the virtual classrooms. And I've only been there this semester. So one of the limitations that we've had, this is a Year 11 General Maths Specialist class, and one of the problems is even though we can set up a blog and we can have discussion boards, we have a problem in that we have to seek permission from the parents to do so, and because I just arrived as the replacement teacher, we have to pretend that I've done that, because that will be something that we will do next year. But just to give you a bit of background about this class, there are 14 students in this class. One of them is on the edge of the spectrum, autistic, and brilliant with physics, and it's a difficulty getting to write anything down on paper, but getting to do a physics exam, and he gets 99.9%. But in a maths exam, it's a real problem for him. So what they wanted us to do was to I don't know what that's doing. What they wanted us to do was to use this and to encourage the students to communicate this way. So when I go in here, I see these two classes that I'm teaching at the school, and I go into this one that is General Maths for Specialists, and it has all of the documents between this class and myself, and down the sides here you'll see that the parents and the students have access to this site. And what happens is I prepare my lesson, and we run the lesson, and any small twists that would improve their learning, I edit that afternoon and then load the lessons up. So these folders here are the topics that they studied this semester, and if we go into kinematics, for instance, we see all of the lessons numbered that they studied, and also the solutions. But the most important thing is to get them to communicate their ideas, because the number of these students are gifted in different subjects other than mathematics. In fact, they find my subject a little mundane because they have to solve the problems when they really understand where the problems have originated from, but they still have to do the exams, so they do that for me. And then down here we've got discussion posts, and the idea is, and I've just started that, we're going to do it with exam revision. The idea is that here I can generate problems for them, and they can communicate with each other how they would solve those problems, because they are very good in communicating with each other during classes and teaching each other verbally. But at the moment I can't get them to do that online because it requires special permission from their parents and justification for them to do that. One of the other additions to this is that we are allowed to open up links for them, and what I try to do is to come up with various websites that justifies the reason that I'm teaching this mathematics, because they challenge me all the time, and just saying you have to pass the exam, we have to do well in the exam is not good enough for them. And one of the things that I've noticed, one of the problems that I've got, is that these days when you research to find this area, within about 5 seconds an advertisement comes up, and it also connects it to something else. That's a real concern. So research for this particular website is very time consuming, but it's served as a means to an end for me, and it's certainly not reaching out to a wider audience. The way that we communicate in the school is that the teachers within our department, we have a certain area that we do all of our sharing of our information, but that's not in here. And unfortunately for the school, I am the only one that was doing research, and I needed to see how this particular website would suit my needs, and there's been a couple of times when I've actually just completely destroyed it and it's had to be rebuilt up again because I'm exploring and they didn't realise that I had access to certain parts of it. So it's been good in a way. They've thanked me at the end of it. And where this will lead, next year, seeing I have an ongoing job with them now, next year I'm going to be expanding the idea of the students communicating with each other through it, and it's the way we're going to present the lessons is going to be such that they have to communicate with each other. So at the moment, when I first started, they say, oh, we don't use Kingsnet, you know, we can't do it on my computer's down, etc. And so you get into the habit of just emailing them. But slowly I've weaned them off that, and they have to work from there. But it's very small compared to everyone else's, and for that reason I apologise. But that's what's happening. So there.
Thank you. No apologies accepted.
Can I just ask, Margaret, when you said obviously the students need to get permission from their parents, do they obviously as a school choose that permission to go subject by subject rather than just a blanket for all subjects that students?
Well, no one else in the school has asked for it, you see.
Okay.
There's no one else.
No one else is using the site. That's
No. Oh, well, they're using it to put certain things up on there, but they don't want to have the blog or the discussion board open.
You trailblazer.
That's right. I'm glad to see me leave. And that's it. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Margaret.
If you unplug it, probably it might flash off. No,
Yeah,
no, that's right.
there we go.
Thank you.
And we'll go back to
Excellent.
that.
Yep.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, so, wow, we're racing. We're absolutely racing. What have we got? Now, I've got Trish, Joe and Grant. Did anybody else wish to present today who hasn't put their name on? Right, we'll go over to Sarah now and we'll start thinking about knowledge management.
whether
It's all right. It's
I
open.
might take a slight different angle. Well, I don't know.
Well, that's
Of the
the
article.
point of
Only
it.
because the article
We're having a
I
break.
said was a little bit,
The article was pretty easy going, wasn't it?
but it was then kind of particular to that, or slightly particular to that industry, I suppose,
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
way.
yeah.
You don't need this on? Or, yeah,
Oh,
hold this one.
or something,
I'll
yes.
just hold it. Okay, so I sort of posted a couple of points online just to get people starting to think, because I was mindful that there was 6, obviously, presentations this afternoon, so I was sort of thinking whether people could start thinking about those questions. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my notes that I made. I can find what's to open for me. I can't exactly remember which questions I did put up, but some of my questions were, and I guess the first quotes that I took from the article, which was just another nice one about the, I guess, what communities of practice are, which was communities of practice are important to the functioning of any organisation, but they become crucial to those that recognise knowledge as a key asset. Knowledge is created, shared, organised, revised and passed on within and among these communities, which I thought just kind of encapsulated that sense of knowledge and communities of practice sort of nicely as sort of one. As I know we've sort of touched on communities of practice a lot throughout this semester, and I think even as I was reading this article, I was kind of thinking, you know, as a kind of culmination of the semester, the types of discussions we've had and I guess what we've all talked as a group, or the sharing that has happened, and where people have kind of shared things maybe that they've experienced or would like to see more, I suppose, as well. So some of my questions kind of take that angle a little bit as well, as I think I was mindful that reading the article was obviously particular to that industry in a sense, and it obviously had quite a knowledge management system I guess, angle, which, if I'm hopefully getting it right, is obviously like the platform in which that sort of, well, you know, how it's obviously somewhat that knowledge is organised or shared. And I guess some of my questions are community of practice angled, but then thinking about knowledge, and then a couple of points even maybe thinking about, I was mindful that a lot of presentations and projects have had quite a teacher sort of knowledge building angle about them, which I thought was sort of interesting and kind of, yeah, interesting to think how people took that angle versus the student as a community of practice, students as a community of practice, I suppose. So one of my questions, just it's better if we say the questions one by one, or whether allocate them to a group.
Whatever you like, you're in charge.
I'll throw the questions out there first, maybe some of them, and then there's a couple of activities that maybe each table group can have a look at. So one question was, how does your organisation or school, in a sense, depending on obviously what environment you're working in, share knowledge was one, which I think was one I had online. Then another one is, do you have any external groups or communities of practice that you are linked to? And then are any of these online communities, in a sense? Because I guess I was curious as to whether, obviously we might have communities of practice within our schools that obviously are internal, but whether we seek out, I guess, any external groups in which we might feel that we can build our knowledge further, whether that is maybe for the reason that you don't feel, whether you're not quite getting that from your own internal organisation, or whether there's somehow just tapped into an interest or something that you're passionate about, and therefore you seek that out for some particular reason, or you've been exposed to it through maybe a professional development that you saw or a professional learning activity you visited. So I guess whether anyone has any sharing of how their school or organisation does share that knowledge, whether there's things put in practice that are formalised or whether they're informal at the same time.
Let's try that as a group task.
Yeah.
I think all three questions are actually relevant.
Yeah.
I don't think you could answer them separately.
Yeah, so think about how they sort of
So you
tap in.
need to actually think about in your group, so each group, as you're sitting, I think, and the people online, just see whether you can identify whether your organisation shares knowledge. Am I getting this right?
Yes.
So is there a way that they share knowledge, and how do they share knowledge?
Yeah.
If there is a way.
And if there's an external groups that you associated with as a community of practice. And another one I have, which maybe taps into too, is, do you as an individual have opportunities to gain greater knowledge in a particular field, and is it encouraged or enhanced through those certain practices within your workplace, which taps into that first one.
Wow,
again.
okay, so that's like the first one. So
Yeah.
do those two together.
Yeah.
So is there a way that your organisation shares? Is there a way that you can tap into that for your knowledge? But the other two are more related to COP,
Yeah.
which are to do with other an external
External.
body, and is that a COP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. We all got that?
So people online do this.
Do the same thing, they can do it in text.
Perfect. All
But
right. people
people at the tables, if you think that there's enough people in this table,
This
maybe
table,
Mine.
this table.
maybe some people need to move so we can actually get a few more people on one.
Boy, oh boy.
But your table's fine.
I'll go back to my table.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
You'll probably have some ideas straight up.
How are you?
Oh, no,
You
he's
have
going
to
to
go
go
all
there.
the way. You have to go this table. 'cause
This
they've
down
only
here,
got two.
because they've only got two.
There's like internet directories where you went to put everything.
You've got to find a table.
Well, you can find that one as well. That's close to you. So, is there a knowledge management mechanism, a knowledge sharing mechanism in your organisation?
Using OneNote.
Yeah, it's just Microsoft. Yeah, I know. Everything in Microsoft can be thrown into OneNote. It's all random. Well, you can then structure it, and you can actually have OneNote automatically take things and store it. It's actually relatively straightforward because it's all Microsoft Office. So if you do a presentation, it'll be in OneNote, and or if you just type things up, it'll be in Word, and then you can just move it straight to the system.
Go to the place. And I would think about as a group how positive psychology, which matches the social emotional learning practice happening. And I was sort of emailed off straight away to our sort of well-being leader who's running it. So, ways that you share stuff like that.
They had knowledge, they knew what was going on. It was usually databases.
But again,
And they actually been sharing.
I really like that. Share it. I don't know, I think when some people just, when they were so popular that day, we don't, maybe, we're so worried about us having that for that lesson, I want to do that now. That we made them just. Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah. Then I don't know, it's interesting, I suppose, you look at sense. You know, what I'm external things that are out there too, like, teach me or something that I attended for 20 years, and the sharing that happens, or even like Twitter, the sharing of listening to has grown in a sense, which is using online platforms
Well, maybe we could try and drag that out somehow. I'm not saying
there are
thinking that's currently around commerce.
spread, like I saw someone
They are a little bit advanced education because they've started to go down the CLP and other reasons because knowledge started off with knowledge organisations. They went straight to data and then they started using knowledge sharing. It wasn't really sort of there wasn't any strategy to getting the unity and the ethos of the organisation. Maybe we can use actually procedure, strategy, well, there's all these other things now because, I mean, I used to think it was like based on friendship, but somebody took that can't just say that all
Particularly the last one, the source, the source code, the source knowledge, I mean, usually you might have like a group of little class,
we're prioritising it and we're recognising that it's something
there's
that
source,
that you're already knowledge
so it makes it really hard to break it, but being
we actually do half, once a term, we send, yeah.
rather than the source knowledge.
We send once a term, once a term, they go home and actually on Thursday.
doing what?
That's our,
Yes, well, I mean, actually, this time consumer. Even you know, keeping people up to date with stuff.
It's important. Like last week when we were writing the responsive curriculum, tweaking.
If we don't put up the skill.
So much easier when you don't have to do the talking. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard. And I've seen now because I went to ACDC. That guy Lee Murphy, who's coming next Wednesday, he pre-loaded his tweets so they came up during his lecture.
Oh wow!
Do you know what I mean? Like he actually scheduled them, so he knew the tweets that he was going to make. Right? And he'd actually written them out as part of his. You do it in Hootsuite or one of those scheduling programs. And he basically, if you were following it in the Twitter stream, which is easy to do if you weren't actually talking, he didn't actually follow it because it would just come up. He'd just say, I've got this question and other, and bang, it'd be up. It is actually, and a lot of people do. They just pre-schedule their tweet so they don't have to write.
Yeah, it's just not, like, it's just like touch base, on touch base.
And the wind session. Yeah, I know. We can see. How we going? What are we doing?
Should we give the report back so you can take it?
Yep. There we go. I know. Good job. Don't interrupt. It's the new lean mean.
Terrible. Yeah.
They have a school focus degree, so they manage that and it means only going that they don't.
Yeah.
And lots of teachers be, but it's only just able to work.
How we going? We're going to have some reporting. Have some reporting. You right over there? You right? What do you want to do, Sarah?
I don't know, one person to report back from each team? Yeah, with that. Is it easier to carry the?
No, this doesn't work. That's for David. Okay, big voices. Oh.
Someone. Does it anyone want to?
Just the first one would be good.
Just the first one, whatever. Yeah.
We're explaining Facebook and through Margaret.
What? Say that again.
Do we want to take this over?
But two, you're talking about two particular.
We're looking at more of the communities, or learning communities that we're looking at how Facebook groups are used and Pinterest as well. And a lot of teachers use that group sharing the visual stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook can actually talk to each other. And then you also mentioned something about, which was something
Isn't that a
few weeks, which was about how the students don't always like to engage on Facebook because they want to keep their social platforms separate to their
yes.
learning.
Good. So how'd you go with knowledge?
Knowledge. You were saying something about knowledge on it.
Well, I was just saying how this is more personal, the fact that they're on Facebook, whereas I do a lot of researching online, and I like websites like TES and Jacob was mentioning about the Maths Association. I said yes, we've been doing that for years, and then Anne was saying how there are groups out there that communicate through Facebook. That's how we got on to that.
What did you say about your school and knowledge management at your school?
Oh yes, knowledge management at my school is that part of the auxiliary staff, people that support like secretaries, etc. Part of their role is to research the PD that's out there for the teachers and put it onto a calendar. So all we have to do is just click on, and we know what's available to us if we need it. And so that's very good. Then Anne said, how does our school communicate with others? And I said that it's much the same as they always did, because they're part of the Uniting Church, so they have a sister school here and they have a school overseas. But just because they can communicate online, it's faster and more efficient.
Right.
And that's
Good. Thank you. No.
We were just talking about how even if you might have maybe a place that you might store resources or ideas, when people actually access that, and often it's the case that people don't. We might look at a couple of times, every so often, but we probably don't access it as regularly as maybe we should. And then Nicole also talking about external kind of, communities in practice that I guess I would say I'm somewhat involved in. One of those being Teach Meet Melbourne's, and then I'll sort of show you more, Twitter and use of Twitter as well. And stay with Teach Meet Melbourne's, it's, people from all different sectors and different schools or different areas where you come together and share, different ideas they might have. Then I was saying how it's interesting when, a lot of the commitment of a lot of external community practice does require a lot of time, dedication in our own, or commitments in our own time. And I guess that it might come down to what other teachers' commitments are as to whether they had the time to do that, or for them where they, I guess, value that as something, they want to build that knowledge more in a particular area, or whether they feel that it should be something that's provided to them by their school, or lots of different possible reasons. But I guess that's sort of a lot of what I find does send down to the commitment of your own individual interest, or I guess passion to want to find out something a little bit more, or see what else is out there, or see what other schools might be doing. Whether it's always something encouraged, I don't know whether some schools are aware of any what some of their teachers do, maybe always do. I guess is something to think about as well.
I'm just looking at the
Chat.
the chat here,
scroll.
and there just a thing that popped up. Somebody said that Australian teachers aren't very good at sharing, and I kind of think they're great. Yeah. I sort of, well, and then there's some discussion about teacher associations, and I think that's where you see a community of practice at work and the sharing within that community, and it's kind of a flexible. Because the expert, the core group of experts kind of, well, certainly in the association I'm involved in, kind of is a bit flexible because the expertise is changing so rapidly. But the sharing certainly happens. I mean, Ted was up at the national conference a couple of weeks ago. Big sharing stuff, isn't it?
Well, I think it was much more informal than what we heard earlier. Just that I think sometimes organisations do things very formally to make sure that the knowledge is actually recorded and available. Now, it may be that they did it badly in the past and they mostly used technology as a database, and they probably didn't do the kind of community kind of engagement, the kind of connection between staff. So, but people knew about knowledge management in organisations probably better than schools did, I think. But schools have got that community kind of notion, and I think that's what happened at the conference. It was a strong use of technology, but very strongly community kind of focused on, knowing who to follow on Twitter, or knowing that this lecture was on and there was going to be a Twitter feed from the lecture. It wasn't that they were trying to manage the knowledge in a kind of organisational sense or a structured bureaucratic way. They were trying to share the knowledge through the contacts that people had within that community.
It's like even I think now with a lot of conferences when they offer more the optional workshops that might be available, whether while lunchtime is on, maybe even meet up, or like I know at Schools Tech Oz at the end of last term, they had meetup rooms set up during different stages of the day, so you could actually through their app you could make connections and network based on what you put down as your, sorry.
Yeah. Come over here so they can hear you too.
Yeah, you're the boss of this.
Yeah.
I was just saying when I was at the Schools Tech Oz conference in September, they shared, they had through their app, now you could set up, I guess, networking links with other people who were at the conference, and so you would have put down, say whether it was personalised learning that was an interest of yours, or whether it was technology or use of spaces in the class, and you could then link up with people who had the same or a similar, I guess, interest, and you could a particular set room at a certain, during lunchtime or whatever, and that way you could, I guess, make those connections a little bit more informally. I think even as Ted was saying with the Twitter feeds too, I think it's amazing how in the last couple of years the shift of using Twitter during the conference, and then that, even when you look at the Twitter feed for a conference and say, oh, they've said that, I like that idea, and then you'd follow that person, and so you grow that network sort of straight away, which I guess is sort of, again, I suppose it's where they use that term, your PLN, so it's very personal, and therefore it's for you and what you're interested in, or I guess what you want to find out more about, and how that does grow over time.
I mean, my question is that,
Thank you.
is that I think many of us already noticed that some of our social networking projects, and I think this is a good thing to notice, have got sort of constraints, and there are restrictions on people's time and the amount of effort that you can expect people to engage in relationship to building a social network or building a community of teachers who are willing to engage or share or put things online. And I wonder whether we should just draw a little bit from the management sort of method, the knowledge management method from business and industry. And I thought Margaret was quite right. It's quite kind of like having someone dedicated to do it, to say that this has to be available. And I mean, I know that you made it your auxiliary staff that found some of the PD, but obviously some of the teachers also could be told that they're in charge of this Twitter feed or this particular aspect of learning or PD, and they need to obviously go online to supply that information or record it or have it available. And it's like forcing people to do it, but it's probable that it needs to be part of their job, because they just don't have the time and they won't do it and they won't connect without that little bit of, you know, it is part of your job. Yeah. You've got to do it. Now, I'm not saying anyone does it absolutely correctly. I don't think business does it right. So I'm not saying that they're the model. I'm just saying I think teachers tend to do it well because they've got a community and they tend to know how to connect to each other and share information. But the time it takes just means it falls away a bit, and we are aware of that.
Okay, I'm going to stop the discussion for the moment, and before we go to Trish, who's going to present, but just while we're getting Trish ready, one thing that occurred to me was we talk about knowledge management, and are we talking about knowledge or are we talking about information, and what's the difference? And yes, Anthony.
I'll finish. I was going to say we were talking about that.
What, in your group? Yeah. The difference between knowledge and information?
No, in terms of conceptually a bit larger.
Yes.
So how it fits into schools, like knowledge isn't necessarily created a lot of the time. It could be curated, it could be maintained. And in terms of creating new knowledge, you might find that in a secondary school or a primary school or a tertiary school in terms of patented knowledge that you can actually tackle, right?
Yep.
So,
Grant.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. Was talking about how the dynamics of the business sector would be a little bit different managing knowledge based on its capitalistic nature. So rather than being more social, be more tracking driven. So the idea of sharing knowledge in that arena would be a lot different to schools because there's a money-driven motive behind it. But schools are quite different. But in terms of managing knowledge, there's a lot of power that goes in with that construct, and that's the real issue. In relation to the question that's answered on the link, the real problem is that I see is that it's a cultural shift in terms of the profession. So there's all these actors that are having comments on what the role of the teacher is, that we've kind of lost sight of what the role of the teacher is, even as teachers, because of technological changes and a whole bunch of politicians and all these other people telling us what we should be doing, is that we kind of lost on what it is that we should be doing, especially in terms of, I wouldn't say we lost power, but the way that we enact power is quite different between countries. And those kind of changes in terms of even just managing knowledge, quite profound.
Thank you.
Well, I actually quite like the idea of thinking about it in terms of capital, and it's either in terms of money or social capital, that is getting a reputation, like teachers used to have, like you said, the social capital to be a consultant on things or to spread sort of expertise about certain topics, and maybe even in a local area, like in a country town particularly, not so much a metropolitan area, but they might have been consulted on getting things done in the town. And that's what I think you're saying, is that they had that reputational value, that social capital to actually spread knowledge as expertise.
More like, I've gone to university, therefore I have this information, and there's no other place you can get this information from except me as the teacher.
Yeah.
Sit down, shut up, and listen, otherwise you're going to fail. But that's not how it is now.
No, I think it has shifted a bit, but maybe, again, looking at the past sometimes is useful to see how we probably have moved on, but maybe some of those ideas were actually useful. I know. I'm actually saying it's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
All right, we're going to move along now. Thank you. Let's go. Now, you won't be able to see online because Tricia's got her iPad.
That's okay.
But she can show it. That's all right. We're fine.
I wish there was a way we could do that. Why can't we do that? It's sort of weird. It's going into the system, but we can't.
Yeah.
Pull it out.
Good.
Well, I'm a real beginner. I've never been on an online forum or anything like that ever before until the Ning. And so I took a long time to get myself onto the Ning to get the confidence, but now I would be very confident in a school environment and that to jump on a Ning and be part of it. And I think that experience is probably one of the most valuable parts to it. And my forum that I ran is I teach at the same school, but it's got 2 campuses, and it opened international baccalaureate and international school this year, and I teach there also, and they go from ELC to grade 1. So the reason I chose to do it at that campus was simply because as a PE teacher, I need a mobile device that I can move around with, and because the other school didn't have anything more than 11 iPads to share with about 20 classes, I only had 3 classes to share a class set of iPads. So just having the resources is probably the main thing that determined who I'd use it with and not. The other reason I told the oldest grade, the grade 1s, but their class teacher had run a forum with them in their last unit. So they'd started to, for the first time, experience a forum before I'd had them. But out of the 16 children, only 4 of them had, what's going on? Only 4 of them had responded, and it was a homework. They did that for homework. So in collaboration with the class teacher, we decided that the homework would probably be the best forum because just the difficulty in getting them actually logged in turns a lot of lower primary teachers from doing that sort of thing in the lower grades. One of the specialists, she got around it by, I thought it was a really good idea. They'd done QR codes in their last unit, so she put a QR code up with the address, the Moodle address, to get onto the forum. And so all the children had to do was to scan it and then cut and paste it into their thing. So that made it easier for them to actually get online and save time that way. If any of you have ever tried it before with that age group. As a PE teacher, probably my thing was, is this going to take too much time and take away from the practical aspect when I only have a 50-minute lesson once a week with them? So my purposes that I had for it were a lot of questions. Another one was, could they handle the technical aspect and the literacy aspects? And so we actually got around that by making it a homework task, because their parents then, as you can read what's up there, it says to the parents that we're happy for you to type your children's knowledge down as they speak it to you. So I'll just click on, just to give you some of the results. I was really pleased, and it was...
just watch the competition.
Okay, yeah, I'll kick it off.
I found it a very positive experience with them. One, because PE is very difficult to get evidence of their learning, and they recorded, I can go into it. The function was just focusing on how the event worked. So, as you can see, out of the 16, so we had up to 6. But what I really liked about it was, because we had 3 weeks first of experiencing it, we went on to UberSense on the iPad, and they looked at videos and videoed themselves, and they could share from their own personal experience. So it wasn't like a cut and paste from Google, and it wasn't really boring to read. And I think for each other then they would comment. And most of the comments I read were very much affirming and thanking the person for contributing. And when I was reading Hugh and Chains, they had were student facilitators, That was the diagram, and I found most of the ideas that came on that worked really, really well with lower primary, and I'd actually done most of them before I'd even sort of read it, but they were saying that showing appreciation creates a really good atmosphere, and I didn't, because I put it on the school Moodle because I didn't have much experience with the safety aspects, and I thought it'd be a very safe way to start it. And but we actually did have one glitch, and that was because when we put UberSense onto the iPad for them to use in class, they typed in their Moodle address, and we actually had UberSense contacting the students over the holidays because we'd done that. So that was a glitch on our part that we've since corrected. But we had parents contacting us in the holidays saying, how come, who is UberSense and why are they contacting our children on our school Moodle? So that was one safety aspect that we covered afterwards. Another one they mentioned on this was establishing ground rules, and like one of the ground rules, if we go back, you can see we had started to get a couple of hurdles and a couple of ones, and one of the ground rules that you can make is to actually show them as a ground rule how to go into, say, just hurdles, and to keep all the hurdle information in one discussion, and then rather than having multiple ones. So that was probably one of the things I'd change if we did it next time. We discussed about the safety issue at the school. Then we looked at the DC, the person that takes a library lesson, at looking at some safety issues with them there. Not that that makes it not our responsibility as other teachers, you know, to be aware of those things as well. I was quite surprised when I went into the stats. It actually said that there'd been 243 visits. So I was actually quite surprised, you know, that actually visited so much. And when we actually had that problem over the holidays, the parents said that they'd enjoyed the forum so much, they were going back reading over each other's posts over the holidays as something fun to do. So I thought that was a really good, positive thing to get back. That I think that showing appreciation encouraged them to go on it more. Another way I got more participation was the ones who hadn't contributed. I actually spoke to some of the parents and encouraged them to get on and have it, and that worked really well too, especially parents that maybe not have done it before. Another thing that worked was to share, like I said, I've shared that one, sharing experience. Probably, if I go in, we had one boy, and the other thing I want to mention was having it done as a homework task with the parents. It felt like a really three-way connection with the parents. It's probably the first time I've ever really felt connected with the parents, that they know what's going on in PE. And also, they put a bit of stimulus into the conversation. You could tell that the parents had guided them. And one parent helped his son put up some photos. And then so we made that, because in the IB they don't have IT as a separate subject, it's actually interlinked with their subject. We started to bring out some skills, and there's one boy here that did the hurdles. And he stuck up a photo, so then we made it a challenge for them to try and stick up a photo, and it actually connected in really well with the focus of the unit, which was on images communicate ideas and information. So yeah, if we did it again, I would like in the future maybe to learn how to develop a wiki and to be able to put different aspects of the sports on there and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Any questions? No? The wiki might be a challenge with grade 1.
Yeah, they're grade 2 next year.
Oh, they're grade 2 next year. QR codes are so good for PE, Sam's saying. Yeah, yeah. Because you can plonk them around everywhere, can't you, Sam?
I think it's great seeing a subject that you normally wouldn't associate with ICT or a learning community,
yeah.
The way you've brought that together, and also for an age group that often is over, you know, usually a lot of the stuff is upper primary school, secondary, tapering learning communities and ICT, so it's really great to see primary and a subject that's not normally, you know, it's not classroom bound, it's not You know, you're not the main teacher or anything, you're a specialist coming in. That's really
What I
exciting.
like too with the IB is they actually encourage you to collaborate worldwide.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm investigating into
I think
how
that's
security.
fantastic for other schools to see what you've done to show what you can do with that age group with PE. You know, it's just great.
And the classroom teacher has gone on to do it in the next subject, and the kids are starting, because I said that practice and experience, they're starting to do it now, really second nature, and lots of discussions starting to happen, which is nice to see it go from 4 to...
There's a comment from David.
Just a question, in terms of medical devices, would it be fair to say that most of it was gone through a smartphone rather than a laptop? Or not sure?
It was an iPad.
iPad.
Yeah.
So
Because of
they
their
child
age
put
and
their own iPad.
we had a class set in the library.
Right, because my problem is that, oh right, this is fantastic. The kids I have at home, they don't have computers. Half the school at home has computers. So I'm thinking maybe I have a smartphone concept, because still probably still do this sort of thing. So now, the way you set it up, you could do events, you could do soccer events, you could do Formula 1, all the big stuff, grand finals here, the Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games. It could be a series of different sports teams. Could really go there. It's fantastic.
That would be
I love it.
Fantastic. All right, we've got Joe, and then Grant, and then Hidden Red. What do you want to do?
Put it on a USB stick or on a laptop.
Now,
USB would be great.
USB would be easier.
Right, that's got the
Trish,
PowerPoint
is
on.
yours?
And then I just need to also grab the actual wiki.
There you go. Now, if you haven't got anything
No actual
private
students.
and confidential, no real students, but
Yep. Harmed in the making of this wiki.
What you're going to have to do is open the folder.
Yep.
Oops.
right on the Mac.
And then
Your presentation is done, and then can I also access the wiki itself on Firefox?
yes, so we want to go. Is it in the readings?
No, it would be
Just
the
go to
new
new tab.
new tab.
Oh, okay.
And then it's just wiki spaces.
Sorry.
It's going to be a video time to go through that. So just to put in the middle heading.
It says students signed in.
And then just go to the current student.
You don't want to be misreading science.
No.
Double heading.
There we go.
Alright, and then how do I actually share it?
You've got to go back to Chrome. Go in there at the bottom of the green one. Sorry, go back to Chrome.
Yep.
And then go to the green one on the front left-hand column. And you choose that one, which is choose.
That one?
Yep. Now what we found before, when the PowerPoint was running, it didn't actually go through because it had to be in the play mode. We're going to go through a number of slides. So first of all, go back to PowerPoint. Sorry, it's just if we go to this, it doesn't actually shows the background
Right,
picture,
okay.
and then you've got to go back to
Which bit? Got the little,
this,
click on
and
the,
then go into Google Hangouts, and what we're sharing.
PowerPoint slides.
that one's my just say.
Alright.
There we go. Okay, we're all
Far
happening.
away, maybe?
Just see how it goes.
I'll see if they can see us.
Great, it's not going to let you.
There it is.
slowly go.
Okay,
There we go. Alright, you ready?
everyone ready?
Alright, my project is very theoretical. I'm not actually teaching in a school this semester, so my project was to construct the shell of a wiki based on a class that I've been teaching for the last couple of years and which I expect to teach again next year, so I'd populate it with the students next year if I get year 9 again. So, hopefully. Context, obviously, Year 9 Science. The first term's unit is Body Systems. And for the last couple of years, I started that unit by getting students to write their own questions about body systems, and then during the term we answered those questions at different points. I found that a really valuable activity. It gave the students an authentic task, it engaged them. However, I think that a platform that supported collaboration would have made it a richer task, so that's what I'm looking at for my project. And particularly I was interested in collaboration and the quality of the written responses. So I teach at a school in Queensland, and we use quality criteria to assess all examination responses. So that's the A, B and C level that you sort of typically be judging them on. And we find a lot of students struggle to get above C level because they've got their knowledge as isolated facts, but they struggle to synthesize it into clear explanations that you'd need for an A or a B. And my thinking was that in a collaborative writing effort, the students would have to be evaluating each other's work and they'd have to be building on it. And so that would help them to move from that C to the B and possibly even the A responses, which would hopefully help them then in the examinations, even though that part wasn't collaborative. Is this a community of practice? My short answer to that question is no. I think given the nature of the schooling system, it's difficult to achieve a true community of practice. In schools, students are required to take a particular subject with the mandated content, whereas in a community of practice, the group really should be self-selecting, which isn't the case. Likewise, in schools, we generally group students with others of the same experience level. In a true community of practice, you'd expect to have that group of experts supporting novice members as they begin engagement. However, my thoughts were that regardless of whether it's a true community of practice, even sending students part of the way down that path is still valuable. So one of the ideals of the community of practice is that learning is socially mediated. And I don't think you can really go wrong by saying you're going to foster collaboration and interaction between students. Again, one of the ideals of community of practice is that students should be active participants. And that you see in many other theories of learning as well, that students should be completing genuinely important tasks and not merely observing. And that's the constructivist theory, whether it's social or not. And then there's also this idea of reification, which is a community of practice ideal. So in my project, I'm using students' own questions, so it's a genuinely meaningful task. They want these questions answered, and they're going to work collaboratively to complete it. And then use my... Oh, actually, hang on. Apologies to the online people if I'm just jumping around a bit. So this is my project, the Wiki Shell. That's the home page. And essentially, students create pages which are their questions, so each new question would be a new page, and they can tag those questions to fit into the different systems that we're studying. So some questions might be tagged to fit into multiple systems to sort of allow that navigation. And then if we were to go into a question, for example, if one student created that page, another student could come in and provide an answer such as this one, and I'm suggesting that they could include photos and videos as part of their answer, which would help them to develop that conceptual understanding. But I would be making it one of the rules of the wiki is that the text responses have to be in their own words. So there's no copying and pasting from internet sites when it comes to the text, because that really is the key point here, is that we're trying to develop that written response and that synthesis ability. But I do think the pictures are still quite helpful in terms of the content understanding. So thinking about some of the potential challenges that I'm expecting, I think that a downside of this system as opposed to my previous system is that with the wiki, the original poser of the question would be identified. So, I mean, obviously I need to track everyone's contribution, but other members could also see that. And so that leaves a situation where students might be reluctant to ask a question because it's revealing their own ignorance. I think that with the context that I work in, it's still a manageable thing. The girls tend to be very respectful of each other. We have quite a supportive culture at the school. And so I think that if you've got that supportive class culture and you're modelling that idea of there are no such thing as a stupid question, then that's not necessarily a barrier. I think this next one is also something that we're doing quite a lot of in my class already, which is understanding that idea of the question level. So we talked about there's the A and the B and the C, but some questions don't really allow an A-level response. They don't ask you to explain. So for instance, a question which was, well, which hormone is responsible for regulating blood glucose? got insulin and you got glucagon. There's no explanation there. It's simply an identify. And there's nothing wrong with having those C level questions, but the students do need to be able to recognise and also pose the A and the B level. And we do spend time in class already looking at that rubric. It is their assessment tool for all of their assessment, their exams and their assignments. So I think that that's something we're already doing and just need to make sure we continue that for the wiki to work. The next one would perhaps be a more serious barrier, that students are reluctant to edit each other's work. And that's what we saw in the case study that was presented in readings for this class earlier in the semester, that the students had this strong norm of, no, you don't muck around with other people's work because that's their business. And here we want them to muck around with each other's work. And so what my suggestion there would be that the first thing I'd get them to do would probably be to edit something that I've written. So I'd present them with an answer that I sort of knocked up really quickly and said, look, you know, this is a first effort. Let's all try and work together and improve on it as a group. And that would probably be a face-to-face discussion to sort of ease the transition. And then finally, I think that it would be quite challenging for my students and their existing class culture. They tend to be very assessment driven and they expect a lot of teacher direction. So my expectation is that when I introduce this, the first question I get would be, do we need to know this for the exam? So I think that in order to support them, I'd have to continue sort of explicitly teaching the content which was examinable, whilst also guiding them to do more research on sort of the extraneous content. Because obviously when you get students to submit their questions, they're not going to submit questions which are just about what your examinable content is. They're going to ask other questions which don't really relate to your core content. So we need to identify what is the core content. I'm still going to give you as much support as I can with this. These other questions are really interesting and I'd love you to go and research them, and here's some help on how to do that, would sort of be my approach there. And then secondly, it's just explicit instruction on participation in the wiki. I think that to guide them through that, to start with at least, it would be very direct of, okay, today's homework is you're going to pose 3 questions and at least one of them has to be an A-level question. And then maybe another day the homework would be you're going to find 2 questions that have already been answered and try and improve on them. So in the long term, you'd hope that students have started to take on those norms and take responsibility for how they wanted to interact in the wiki themselves. But at least initially with that group, I need to be a bit more directive, I think. Then this is the homepage. I think it's important to provide those expectations clearly and in a place where the students are going to see them. So there's expectations there for how to ask questions, how to answer questions, and also just a reminder that we're asking about collaboration and that we want people to interact. And then those are the quality criteria that we'd be using to assess students in the exam. And as I said, we do show this to students and we get them to look at it and try and identify what's the difference between that C and that B. Well, you know, here in this B, they're talking about explanation. So have I done that? And if I haven't, how could I engage that? Thank you.
Well, it wasn't actually being shared. So
wasn't it?
Not the last bit. Sorry, guys, on mine. They got the first bit, but we lost it.
Funny.
Working to it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ted and I have just done a week of classes with our MTeach students where we made wikis. 550 students, and they all had to edit each other's work, didn't they? And it actually was an interesting, and I think at a school level,
I've only got 28.
or where the work actually, where it matters, like it didn't matter in this, did it?
Not
they
really.
were just making stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a really, really interesting experiment to see how people actually do edit each other's work and what they draw the line at.
I'm going to sound really managerial because I just mentioned knowledge management, but I think your idea of being very, very explicit in that introduction, or at least in the opening page, the home page, and saying what the expectations were, and giving a clear idea of what the criteria are in your rubric, but as well as that, specifying exactly what A, B, and C things are, might actually be kind of helpful here because. You know, if you just left it like we were doing our wiki with an expectation people would contribute, they wouldn't really know where to start. And I think the expectations have to be, you know, so clear maybe at the start, that they don't actually get confused about where they're going to go with it. And I mean, I was going to ask you, I'm not sure whether you would actually give people marks for each contribution within the criteria, or how do you?
I wouldn't assess it in terms of quality of participation. We do give students a commitment grade as part of their term 1 and term 2. Well, actually, term 1 we don't assess them in quality of reports for their reports at all. Their report is just based on their commitment and their participation.
Yep.
So I think that would sort of be the thing of, you know, guys, I'm going to be tracking your participation on this wiki, and that's going to inform my report home about whether you are participating actively. And asking questions is actually one of the things we report on for their end of term 1 report.
I think that's a motivator. I think that's enough. Might be enough. Yeah.
All right. Well, we better have Grand. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Useful, really useful to be shared. Thanks, Sam and Belinda, and who else? Yes.
It's great. Emily's got PD to go to.
Emily's gone to PD.
Doing some knowledge management, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's grown in even. Look at that. It's not going to fall out.
I wouldn't share.
No, but we can actually share it to the room. So, yeah.
There we go. Right. It's not confidential, is it? Private? Just give me information.
No.
Not really good. Okie doke. There you are, and there it is.
Let me see it. That's not the whole screen. You probably is it going to full screen? You've got the there it is. Is that which one? No, that's not. Oh, it is. Yeah. Now you can change.
Sorry guys. I was. It looks a little different.
Got a lot of technology.
It's not pulling it across.
It's a different,
Frame it differently. It's because our monitor
it's old-fashioned.
Yeah, it's not the full screen. It's not the full your iPad style.
All right. Hi guys, sorry. This what you can see on the screen is what you can see on the screen is the homepage of an online subject taught at a university level. So this is a Blackboard learning system. What you can see on the screen is that's a dashboard, the home screen. So we can see there. Over there, that's my announcements. Sort of the social media functionality, and on the right is about the discussion board functionality. See, that's the navigation panel. There are many options for you to browse through regarding what you are supposed to do in the study of this subject. But it doesn't really stay there. If you scroll down, you will see a button called Unit Tools, and there are many more options. And there's so many that I can't even put all of them on the screen. So this is where my inspiration came from, because I think as a student, even at a university level, the system doesn't really help you focus or concentrate on the content or your studies. And not to mention that it's an online subject, and most of my students are actually professionals. They are professional accountants, they're professional auditors who don't have time during the day, and they only have time probably 2 hours every day to jump in and have a quick bite of what's going on in the study of the subject. So from the functionality and service provided by this learning system, it's like, it's getting a little bit slow. It's like these different dots in different colors. Each one presents the different functionality. But then the thing is, when we think that, oh, this is a good service, people should put that on board, it might end up like what's on the screen. So millions of services putting together without really integrated, without being integrated with each other to provide a really good user experience. So that's my. This is my. Sorry guys, this is very slow. I don't know why. Yeah, because the presentation is very graphic.
Okay, taking a while to load.
Yeah. As you can see, there are at least 100 dots on the screen, so it takes time to load. Trying to go through it. Bear with me, guys. Sorry. Wow. I think so. Yeah, it is. That's okay.
Is it locked?
I have backup.
It's got backup on his phone.
Okay.
Here we go. It's got a
Great.
backup. Wow.
What a techno whiz.
There it is. Look at that.
Okay.
Just don't open those hundreds of dots.
Oh, it doesn't crash your phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Open it up. No. Oh.
Lovely.
Luckily.
Wow.
Okay. So. Sorry about that. So this is my real presentation, the redesign of an existing online subject. But at the moment, it's a very conceptual. It's at a very conceptual stage. So you won't see many things very polished, but I will give you a general idea about what should be going on in that subject online. So we'll go back to the million dots on there. There should be, from there, we should simplify that. And this is my underpinning design, which is hardware, software, and services. So hardware means learning material, knowledge, and everything that is related to that specific subject. And software means the scaffolding, pedagogies, and the things we use to deliver the knowledge to the students. And services means, software means technology, basically. The pedagogies and then scaffolding belongs to the hardware part. This is all knowledge related. And software means the technology. And services means how we can harness the best of those two platforms, knowledge and technology, to provide the best user experience to all the students, because they're paid. They're paid to have the service, so why don't we give them the best service possible? So next one you can see on the screen is the critical part of this design is integration. So we put those three services together. As you can see, the user experience actually comes from the one in the middle when the three connects. So if you don't see that clearly, I'll show you. Oh. Did you see the?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't have done it. Sorry.
Bouncing.
Yes, like that. So that's where the user experience comes from. So so our job is to keep enlarging that experience until we can fully integrate all the three platforms. So that's the basic design of the whole subject. So now I would like to show you a demo of how it runs hypothetically. Oh, this is really slow. So, okay, so this is the home screen on the new design. So when you log into the subject, this is what you see on the screen. Very clean, very simplified interface. And then, but before they jump into that, since we have this scaffolding and pedagogy embedded in the design, every student has to go through this, which is a user agreement, as you can read on the screen. So it is important that you read the following terms and conditions when you do the studies in this subject, and they have to agree. They have to agree. They don't have any options, because the purpose of this is to make their responsibility as a member of the community explicit. So right from the start, they know what they're supposed to do, not just jump in and do something they like and then leave. They have a shared responsibility in the study of this community. So after they agreed, then the sanction will be gone, and then they're free to go into the subject. So as you can see, the shapes, the pentagon shape, well, not pentagon, the hexagon. Yeah, thanks. So there are different sizes. So again, in that design, we have a lot of visual cues. So for example, this one, since we assume that the student is new to this subject, so the first thing they should know is to learn about this subject. That's why the biggest thing in the middle is about this unit. So if you click into that, you click on then you will see what's in this particular part of the unit. So about this unit, you will see a welcome message, you will see the schedule of the unit, and you will see assessment, how you're going to be assessed. And of course, you can see the other shapes with different colors at the corners. If you click them, you can go into current affairs, which means your current tasks. So the design of this unit is very task-based. So this is the the learning material every student is supposed to go through. And on the page, maybe you can see those little blue dots in a similar shapes at the bottom of the page. So this is how we integrate different platforms and different functionality into one page, which means they don't have to leave this page to go to another web page to access knowledge or anything or information. Everything can be done on this one page. So what we do here is, if you click on that little blue dot on the page, and a pop-up window will show up on top of the main page, and which will show you what's in that particular dot, the information, which is the individual task and what you're supposed to do. And on that pop-up window, you can actually, if you're confident to do it, you can actually pull in your own answer and submit it. Okay, so like I said, we want to promote concentration and focus when they're studying the subject. So we're trying to minimize the distractions from other functionalities or unnecessary functionality provided by the current platform. And next step, so if we get back to the main menu, where you can see that this is a very dynamic system, because we changed from the main thing you need to focus has changed from about this unit to a current phase, because the system knows that you have gone through the first step. You know what's going on in this unit. And of course, you can customize your main focus other than what the system tells you. For example, we changed the current phase from study room, and if we click study room, and we'll get in there, this is the center of the unit, which will show you basically all the tasks you're supposed to do. So on the top, you can see individual tasks, then at the bottom, you can see group tasks. And this is where the functionalities of social media platforms being integrated into the system. So on the up right corner, you can see others' answers, and on the page you will see different buttons with different colors. So there's like, first one is like, and second one is too small.
Comment.
A comment, yes. Comment on others.
They add as friends.
Too small. And the last one is add as friends. So yeah, you can see those answers are from different learners. So if you like it, you can click on it, and you can comment on it, and you can add that learner as a friend. So this way we'll slowly build up the learning community with all the learners in this unit. Okay, so because on the left-hand corner you will see the little red dot. If you click on that, because you're not sure what's going on in the first week about the learning material. So if you click on that little button on the left, at the right bottom corner, you will see relevant learning content, including video, audio, test, and everything you need to know to help you go through the study of that particular week. And then did you see that little badge on the green on the green corner on the upper left? So again, like I said, it's a dynamic system. We have the real-time notification system as well. So that means there is a notification for you to know. Let's click into it and see what's going on. Oops. Okay, so you've got a list of notifications, and the first one is suppose that you have finished your individual task on the page. So the system is telling you that congratulations, you individual task in week 1, and in the second time tells you the second one tells you that you've earned a trophy because you've done it. This is kind of a reward for you, and someone as a learner has added to you as a friend. So the window will show you all the notifications you need to keep yourself updated. And well, in the meantime, I think there's another badge just popped up on the left bottom corner, which is the trophy room. Let's look into that and see what's going on. So you've earned a trophy, and that tells you what you've done to earn it, because you've completed the first week individual task. You've got that. The purpose of this is to encourage students to jump into the tasks, because what's happening at the moment in the current system is that they're very reluctant to jump into the discussion board and then show them their answers. So this way we can encourage them to do this. And after that, yeah, okay, so this is another scenario. So suppose that another learner has liked your answer, then they click that like button in the up right corner. Then you will get another notice saying that someone has liked your answer, and you will get a different trophy, which is the first one was bronze and this one is silver. That's again we're trying to promote knowledge sharing in this. So if you prefer to do all the individual tasks, that's fine, but all you get will be bronze trophies. But if you share, or if you share, or your contribution has been liked by others, you will have better reward. So that, again, this is a reward encouragement system. Okay, now what's next? Yep. So we're in the notification center. Here you can see all the activities going on in the subject at the moment. So you can see this week, next week, and history. And on the right, you will see your friends and your dynamic groups, because we do have group tasks in the unit. So, and the next part. So if it gets busy, this is what can happen on the screen. So you can have all 4 pop-up windows open at the same time, without distracting each other. So you can still focus on the content while you're doing very efficient studies. So the last one, trophy room. So as you can see, we have 4 types of rewards for students. The first one is bronze, and second silver, third gold, and the last ultimately platinum, which is the best reward you can get in this subject. Like I said, if you prefer to go solo, that's fine, but all you get will be bronze and silver. But if you're a team player, you will get gold and platinum, because if you finish a group task, you will get a gold trophy, and if your group work has been liked by another group, then you will get a platinum trophy, which is very encouraging to me. Anyway, and And again, like I said, it's a very dynamic system. So if you click on the orange dot on the page, that will tell you that, okay, there's an assessment coming up, and if you click on that, the pop-up window will tell you what the assessment is about. Is it a test or exam or assignment? Okay, so like I said, this is a very conceptual design. Many things need to be polished up. But so far, my vision is that this system can be adopted in many platforms. So the demo was shown on a computer, but also the system can be used on a tablet and mobile phone as well. So I think mobile learning is the trend. So I think that could be a way to go.
Very easy.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah. Sam and Belinda were wondering whether it was on the LMS. Unfortunately, not yet. It's all it's all up here. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's very conceptual.
Thank you.
Any questions, guys? Sorry, we're running late.
I've got a question.
Yes.
This particular concept is like a blueprint of
Yes.
the concept, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you wish to put it into reality, you could actually engage in a webmaster, find some sponsorship, and put this in fruition, because if you already have a blueprint, it's much easier for a web designer or webmaster to actually understand what you're thinking. They could come for real. But
Yeah, absolutely.
how much it might cost? It might cost $3,000, $5,000 to actually put it together running online.
Yep. Well, look, I'm not an expert. I don't know how to program softwares, but I think this software, this system can be based on what programming language, which is HTML or CSS5. Or, technically, is very, how to say, very
Dynamic.
Yes, dynamic, and it is applicable. But again, I think this is such a big system, because I started with great passion, and I had to stop because I just realized there's so many things to think about, and I just can't handle it myself. And we do need a community of practice to realize that. But
crowdfunded, crowdsource it. There you go.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
But and also for because it seems a little bit commercialized, because it is a very user focused, and then we focus on user experience. And some people might think it's very similar to the iOS interface, but because this subject is at university level and people pay to have the service, so I think it's necessary to provide the best experience possible to the people. But then funding for university, I don't think it will be a problem, because if they have enough money to hire a specialist, a group of specialists, and it could be done very soon.
Yeah. I think you should ask this university to it. Can I ask a question? I don't want to extend it, but because we asked a question about assessment and possible motivators, you chose to use trophies, but could you turn those into marks or a motivator?
No, they won't be trophies. They have no contribution to the final mark.
Why is that?
Well, no, it's just there because you can't. As soon as you grade it, it becomes.
Yeah,
it has a different value, doesn't it?
True, and well, because that concept comes from the gamification.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but then I think, well, because this is a university level, it wouldn't make sense for some people to say, well, I've got a qualification in playing games when I was doing my studies at university.
Okay.
So that wouldn't really contribute real value to their qualifications. So that's why, I thought about it in the first place.
Yeah.
Then I gave it up. Yeah.
No, good. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, people online like the trophies, Kickstarter, all sorts of things. Look, we've come to the end. We didn't end up having discussions that all of the activities that Ted and I prepared, but that's all right.
You've got a page of them.
Got a page of them here. Pages and pages. What I think we probably need to finish, because people need to get away, and it's been fun. I'm not going to even talk about next week yet. What I might do is, because I know some people aren't going to be here, what I might do is just put something on the ning and say, who's going to be here or who isn't, and then we'll either meet or we won't meet. Because if there's only sort of 4 or 5 people, then it's probably not really a class. If it's a group, what have we got here? 15 or 20? That's a class, you know.
We can hang out.
We can hang out. You can I'll call you from the airport.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll do. Everybody, get your what have we got? Oh, I've got my watch break. I've got another watch on. Your project reviews posted. Email them to us. Just makes it easier. That's all for me. But if they're posted, we can download them straight away anyway. And then that's all done. Everyone's got all their other grades, and it's been great fun marking those assessments, isn't it?
Absolutely, fantastic assessment.
Just amazing.
Great project.
It's it's so different from anything else we mark. It's great. Pity is we just have to mark it, that's all.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, we shall see you. Let's hang out. See you.
Can I?
Yes.
Sorry, it's completely unrelated to class, but I've started my first Twitter campaign. I'm a bit excited. If anyone wants to use Recruitment Online, which is the Victorian Schools whole recruitment thing, they updated the system over the holidays.
Yeah.
If anyone's trying to use it, it's not very
Updated.
In fact, I think anyone in this class could probably have designed a better system. So there's been a lot of grumbling. People are losing their applications. Only order for applying for jobs. People are losing applications, crying. It's very sad. So if you have a moment and a Twitter account or tell your friends, tweet at the DECD, hashtag FixROL.
Oh, fix ROL.
This is my first, so I don't know what it's going to do. I'm probably in the wrong place.
So what was it?
If anyone knows how
Hashtag fix.
Fix ROL, which is Recruitment Online.
But it was
written online.
At DECD.
Yep.
Hashtag fix ROL.
And a scathing message if you like. But yeah, we can get lots of people doing because basically lots of teachers are complaining and this is their busiest recruitment time. And the schools are posting jobs and then it's closing the jobs off before their due dates and yeah, there's a whole lot of disasters.
It's getting political.
Go alternate.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Very good.
Thanks you everybody online. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Stop this broadcast and I'll save this.
Thanks for all your fish.
Yep, thanks everyone. I'm going to save the comments, guys.